ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Bird's Brain Podcast, presented to you by How You Doing Media. How you doing? Anyways, I feel like I have a weight driven. I feel like I have a weight driven episode today because I feel like I'm a horrible person and I'm going to tell you all about it. Anyways, let's get right into the episode. Ladies and gentlemen, I I don't even know how to talk about this because I feel like at the end of the day, there's a conversation like, why? I feel like that was moved over really far. I don't know. Anyways, here's the topic of the situation. I feel like I've been a really, really not like essentially like a bad person, but a bad guy in the sense of like my walk with Jesus, understanding my love for the Lord and all that. And it's like I'm having so much resentment. I'm having such a hard time. Honestly, it just feels like I'm having a bad time because of the fact that all of a sudden, God, this is so weird and hard to talk about. But I never thought it would come to this point. I never thought that something like this would happen to me because of how amazing I felt in past events, and like right now, talking in this moment, I can confidently say, and I don't even want to have to say that I can confidently say it because I don't enjoy saying it, but I cannot, for whatever reason, I cannot feel the love of Jesus at all. And at the end of the day, I feel like it's my fault. I feel like it's a situation of I've been the one that has been distant. I've been the one that walked away. I was the one that things not really got tough in my life, but priorities shifted a little bit. I started, working towards this goal, and I missed the whole point of it. And it's kind of a hard concept for me to fathom because at one point in time, and I feel like and it's really a hard topic because I feel like at one point I was just so in love with Jesus. And then I look back and I'm like, was I really in love with Jesus? Or was I in love with heaven? Was I just in love with the idea that Jesus saves me so then I get to go to heaven? So all I'm worried about is heaven. I'm in love with heaven and that's it. I call it being in love with Jesus, but it's more of the thought of heaven where I get to go after I die, something like that. And it kind of hits me heavy because, and it's not even like a coherent thought. It's not a situation of like I lied to myself the whole time. I lied to everybody around me to perceive this amazing, great, wonderful story that I had and told learned all this stuff and blah blah blah, whatever. It was in those moments where I was heavy, I was on fire, I was enveloped in it completely. I was I was genuinely, truly in love. I can't say that I wasn't because I was. But I sit there and I ask myself, and I feel like that's the enemy. I feel like that's Satan trying to attack and be like, well, why would he love you anyway? You walked away this many times. You've done all these things, blah, blah, blah. And I guess towards the situation, I just have so much resentment. And the person in me, the emotions that I feel from it is I should be bawling my eyes out. I should be so upset. I should be back. I should be back in my Bible more than ever, more than I've ever been, and learning the Word, getting closer to Jesus and all that. And I don't even feel that because for whatever reason, I have this understanding that I'm I don't want to open my Bible and fill myself with the ushy gushy this is what I need at the moment. It's a situation of I'm feeling down. I don't know if what I'm believing right now is the right answer, so I'm going to crack open my Bible and look for the right answer to make me feel ushy and gushy, all warm and fuzzy on the inside, so that I can get back to what I thought like felt normal and what I thought was like the right thing. You know what I mean? And I don't know why. I will say honestly, transparently, I have not read my Bible in probably a month and a half, 2 months. Just because that's how short I felt. I've picked it up ever so often. Like, I feel like me being able to talk about this, me bringing it up, I'm like, oh, this is like such a pity party at the end of the day. But I feel like this might be a situation of like what people struggle with. This could be a situation of like life or death moment. And it honestly, at the end of the day, is. It's like life or death, believing in Jesus, believing in what you've been taught, believing in the truth of what you've been told. Whether you do or don't, that's the difference between life and death for you. But I feel like this is like a normal thing that everybody goes through at some point. I feel like there's a lot of people that fall away from it. But nonetheless, I feel like the main thing of it all, like, that just is so screwy with me, is I catch myself asking the question a lot of the times. I'm like, do I really believe in what I'm telling myself? Do I believe what I'm reading? Do I believe what I'm hearing? Do I believe what I'm experiencing? All of these things. Does this evidence that's being like brought forth to me, am I believing that is Jesus and it's the right answer? And I don't understand why I ask myself that question. Because of the things that have happened. Because of the dream that I've had, because of the experiences I've had after and before, and being able to recognize how he's watched over my life the entire time. But I get so like caught up in it, and I'm like, I don't understand like what's going on. So then I start questioning everything, and I just feel horrible as a person, because I feel like then me personally, I know already I don't deserve it, but believing in him allows me to not deserve it, but receive the gift of eternal, everlasting life. And for me, honestly, in my opinion, to be so naive to say those things, I feel like not only am I letting him down, but I'm not only letting him down. I'm testing him. I'm doing all these things. I'm like, it's basically like the conversation of like, where are you at now? Like, some things are going wrong in my life. Some things are getting heavy. Some challenges are getting hard. And I can sit myself down in the moment, past the moment, before the moment, whatever. And I can tell myself, like, I know this is a challenge from the Lord and I will come out on top as long as I trust in him. And I know that's a subconscious thought 95 or 100% of the time. Because I know. And it's like in the Bible, it says, Jesus says, like, he doesn't, and I know in certain parts of the Bible he says like believers, blah blah blah, whatever, but he never once states himself as like, you have to believe in Jesus. He says, I am the truth. I am. And the Bible says the truth and the life, like, it all just, when it comes full circle, it's more about knowing. And I know that is the right answer. I know that at the end of the day is what saves me. And I think I have such a hard time with it lately because of the way that my relationship has been with him. And like, I know you can be like, oh, whatever, it'll come back. You're just in a season of waiting. You're in a season of anguish, whatever it's called, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like at the end of the day, I'm genuinely doing a disservice to Jesus because I've stated these things, because I've said these things. And I've always told people that there's a couple things that define your worth in this world as a man. And one of them is your word. And I feel like I've given Jesus my word on, I will be obedient. I will do these things that are asked of me. I will do all of these things. And when I gave him my word, I couldn't fulfill my promise to him, and I fell short. And a lot of people around me are like, well, you're going to fall short a lot of times, and you're going to do all these things, and you're not going to do it right, and you're not going to do it perfect because you don't have all the answers. He does. But it's like I do. Technically, I do have all the right answers because he can lead me in that direction. I can read my Bible and understand where I need to go with the right steps to get back on track, to make sure that I do keep my word to him. And lately, I feel like I have not kept my word to him, and I've been like, I feel like something has shifted in me to where now, and I don't like, the thing is, like, I don't feel good saying it, but I know that there's people out there that struggle with it, that change in the exact same ways, that experience this kind of thing in the exact same way. And it's like, I've changed into more judgmental, just off rip. And I catch myself and I'm like, don't be like that. Like, why are you preying on somebody's downfall when when you have recognized that you're on a downfall yourself right now? And you're going to be the one that comes back and says, this is why I'm better than this person, because they don't know Jesus as well as I do. But I'm claiming to know Jesus, and I'm not even close to him whatsoever. I'm not keeping my promise to him. So why am I all of a sudden any better than the next person, Joe Schmo down the street, or the person that I'm judging? I'm snapping quickie. Snap. What? I snap and I'm quick to, like, confrontation. And I'll be honest, like, all the time throughout my entire life, like, people know me as a very confrontational person from time to time. There's times where I'm like not in the mood to be confrontational. I'm just like, okay, I don't want to be in this situation because it's not that deep, dog. Like, let's move on. But the times that I am confrontational, it's like for me, it seems very serious. And I'm nowadays, I'm quicker to that. And out of all of these things, like, that I talk about, like, just about my shortcomings, and not to be like the person that's like, oh, I'm throwing a pity party, feel so bad for me. It's like, I feel like this is the only way. And I think this sounds even worse, possibly, maybe on the same level. But in order for me to hold myself accountable and start to do better, I have to put that out there to where every single person around me knows kind of having some idea of the thing that I'm going through and struggling with, so that they can consciously hold me accountable and be like, you talked about it in your video, so why are you being this way? Still continuing to do these things and fall short on your promises to God and doing all of these things. You wear Jesus Saves hat every single day, but you don't reflect Jesus in any capacity whatsoever. And, I can go on and be like, well, here's my 55 excuses. One's the place that I work, the environment that I work in, the industry that I chose, the people that are around me, blah, 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 whatever. But it's like, you can't, talking through it, you just can't allow those things to fully change you as a person. And, like, just because of the work environment that I'm in doesn't mean that I need to shadow those people and turn into what I don't want to be. You look around probably at some of the people that you work with and you say, you label it judgmental or whatever, I don't really care. It doesn't matter. But there's definitely people that you look at and you go, I don't want to be like them. I don't want to live the life that they do, because I would see myself as miserable. I would see myself as not happy. I would see myself in a different light that I would not want to be a part of. And so it just all of it collectively together. Like, I'm very adamant about people holding themselves accountable. And this is one of those moments in my life where I'm like, this is not a point where I'm holding myself accountable whatsoever. I'm getting away with it all the people around me, they're trying to better their lives and all that. And I'm saying I want to better my life. I say that I'm better in my life, but the actions don't show it whatsoever. I told myself like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, somewhere, it was a timeline of sub 6 months. I was like, hey, talk to the Lord. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna, here's these things that I want to do. I want to start this pod. I want to start doing this pod for you. I want to start doing these things and making TikToks, and I want to start my own company. I want to do all these things, but I want to do it in the glory of your name. And I started doing those, and then I fell short. And I got too enveloped in the process of doing all of these things. And the podcast is up and running. The TikTok's up and running. I own my own business now and all of these things, but I'm not giving the glory to God. I turn around and people ask me, like, are you happy? Are you proud? And I'm like, yeah, because I did the work. I did it myself. And I become self-centered again, not giving the glory to God. And I think it definitely has to change. I have to hold myself accountable there. Because I feel that at the end of the day, for me, as the man that I am, I have to... There's no way that I'm going to be the person that I need to be if I don't hold myself accountable, say these things out loud, and make the change, whether I post them to the internet or not. And no, it's not like virality. This dude's opening up on camera, and he's going to go viral for it because he's talking about how big of a piece of trash he is, so he can get the validation from the people in the comments to tell him that he's not a bad person, that he just needs to do this, this, and this to make the change, and those people will help him out. It's a situation of, if I don't get this out there somewhere, I lose the thought, so then it doesn't change anything because my brain works so fast and there's so many thoughts just constantly coming through that it's almost like you pull out in the filing cabinet drawer and you just run your thumb along, and whatever you can read the fastest, that's how my brain works. It's just a ginormous filing cabinet, and the thumb is constantly just running back and forth over these files. And I'm just getting little snippets. And a lot of them are about how to better myself. And I get those snippets and I'm like, this is it. 15 minutes later, I'm back on the train that I was, being the piece of junk that I am. And the worst part is a lot of the people around me, they go, well, God says that you're going to fall short every single day. But then I ask myself this, and I think a lot of people should ask themselves this. Why are you continuing to allow yourself to fall short in those situations? Just because God says that you're going to fall short doesn't give you the justification to fall short. Fall short on the things that you have no idea about, that you need to come to the realization and have the conviction for eventually down the road. But don't give yourself the out of justifying falling short just because God says you're going to. And when you coherently and consciously fall short and know that you did and still don't make a change, that's where you're, and I see it that way. It's just that you're worth lessons inside of your own head. Maybe not into the people around you, but you're inside of your head. This is just the way that I think. And so in order to be able to change that, you have to make a change. And a lot of people be like, oh, but I don't like change. I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like change. And it's like, I don't think anybody honestly likes change at the end of the day. But there are things you can get used to change to where that becomes your new normal because you're working so hard to change these new things. You know, my routine constantly changes with the things that I'm doing and the new things that I'm starting. It's like when I wake up, I brush my teeth, I shower, I get ready, I pack my lunch, I pack my backpack, I go to work, I come home, I record my podcast episode, I have free time, so I edit, I watch TV, talk to my mom, visit with family, whatever it is. My routine is always changing, but I find that normal balance of waking up, brush your teeth, take the shower, pack the bag, pack the lunch, go to work, come home, and try and do the same thing. 90% of the time during the week and stuff, I come home from work and it starts out, I open the garage door. When I pull in the driveway, I put the truck in park, and the garage door is coming up. I immediately see my dog, so I let my dog out. Play on my phone for 15 minutes, trying to brainstorm a little bit on what podcasts, things I want to talk about, and review my notes on what, feels spicy and what hits my brain the right way. Make sure that the dog gets fed. Make sure that the dog gets watered. That she uses the restroom and gets to play. So then I go out there and I throw the ball with her and I'll play catch and roughhouse with her, whatever, for about 15, 20 minutes. And then I let her inside. I get everything prepped and ready to go. Use the bathroom if I need to. And I sit down to get the podcast going. And I record my podcast episode. When I'm done, 90% of the time, I just take a shower right after. Because I like to be clean from work and everything, whatever, yada, yada. But when I lay down in bed, I open my computer. I'll edit for an hour, 30 minutes, whatever it is, with the TV on in the background. And then right before I go to bed, I turn on YouTube. And that's my routine 90% of the time. But it's those ever so often changes. Like when I get off work on Fridays, my mom will want to go out to eat dinner. So that pushes back the times for the other things that I want to do. But they still need to be done because it's in the routine, but it's going to be later on. And that's my change. I can be okay with that change because essentially I've been doing it for so long that it just feels normal. I know that Fridays there's a possibility of going out to eat and how to adjust my schedule. But I feel like with all of it, everything that gets said, the biggest thing for me, the thing that I just keep coming back to every single time that I have this conversation inside of my head, the conversation with my mom, the conversation with my best friends, the conversation that I have with the closest people around me, to where I can get vulnerable and actually talk about this situation. It always comes down to me needing to make that change. Me saying that I'm going to make the change, but I never act on it. It's almost like when you recognize that you need to start going to the gym, and you for 2 weeks, you're like, oh, I need to go to the gym. I need to go to the gym. I need to go to the gym. And then something all of a sudden lights underneath you, and you get that determination to go to the gym, and you start going to the gym. And then 30 days in, it's finally a routine, and that's just the rest of however long until you get burnt out on it, or life changes or whatever. That's what I kind of essentially. But it's just making those slow efforts towards that change. And I always encourage a lot of people if you have to do the same thing, if you can recognize those things that you need to make change, your coherent, conscious decisions that you need to change, start taking the steps towards those. And this, honestly, to me, for the last week, and I don't think, maybe they have, they just haven't said anything, but nobody's been able to notice that battle that's going on with inside of my head. And I'm not here to wake up next Monday and everybody be like, okay, Braden's having a hard time, so we need to cater to his needs and we need to do this thing and blah, blah, blah. It's no, this is posted because I feel like this affects other people. This is a situation of some people need to hear this. And more importantly, I need to hear this. So if it's out there and I know people saw it, then I have to hold myself accountable towards that change. I'm not looking for a pity party. I'm not doing all these things. I'm not. But I want to make the change. I want to be better. I want to do these things. And the only way for me to do that is to do this. And so it's almost like my daily diary in video form, I guess. I don't know. But on the flip side of the entire coin, it's a situation of it's not that I don't enjoy my life. Because I enjoy my life every single day that I wake up. I will literally sit at the end of my bed for 5 minutes. This is going to sound so bad, but wake up in the morning and I sit at the bed for 5 minutes. And I contemplate my life choices and my career choice and the things that I've done and all of these things. But then as soon as I decide to get up, I'm there is a 100% possibility and chance that this could be the greatest day of my life. So I need to quit thinking about that. And then, I get up and we get going, and I find myself in a good mood. Because not a lot of times do I find myself in a bad mood unless it is like genuinely, unless it is projected onto me. Like there's a lot of time, this is going to be funny because I don't know if he watches these, but if he does, he'll probably bring it up to me. But like my best friend, also my boss at work, also like my golfing partner, like he has so many titles. Like he's literally the greatest friend in the entire world. But Chavez, he literally will be in a bad mood and project that energy onto me, and then it puts me in a bad mood. And finally, I just like recognize the fact that like both of us are projecting the bad energy onto each other. And I'm like, listen, this started with you. Like, not to play the blame game or anything, but kind of to play the blame game. This is on you. You did this to me. Like, you put me in a bad mood for projecting your bad mood. And a lot of times there's some certain circumstances where I will, like, he'll be in a bad mood projecting his bad energy. And I'm like, I'm not letting you do it. So I call him out. And I'm like, hey, don't be projecting that bad energy onto me because I don't want to be in a bad mood. I'm having a pretty good day. But it's just a situation of like that projection can put me into a bad mood. A lot. I would guarantee that if you asked 50 people that are close to me, I don't even know if there's 50 people that are really that close to me. But if you asked the people that are the closest to me, you would probably get the answer that 98% of the time, no, like 93% of the time, I'm in a fantastic mood. And there's obviously like the times where you're mellow because you're worn out, you're tired, you're sad, you're upset, whatever. All these nonetheless, but majority of the time I'm in a good mood. And that's just my life. That's the way I live my life, and I don't particularly think that being in a bad mood is a good idea. So it's easier to find the good in the situation and just be happy at the end of the day. But like right now, if I were to like put it into emotional terms, like what is going on, I think that people would honestly severely consider this like a form of like depression almost. Because it's not that I'm like sad or I want to like do things that I probably shouldn't or anything like that. That's not even close at all. But it's like I just feel so stagnant because I'm such a bad person. Because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and 23 other letters. Well, actually, 20 other letters because the alphabet's 26. Anyways, besides the point. But I feel like that's like a heavy topic that I had to talk about because, again, the dead horse that we're punching on here. No, just kidding. The topic that we were beating to death. Holding myself accountable for the change. This is the only way that will happen. But nonetheless, I tell myself all the time, like I get into this conversation, and I think a lot of people do this as well. I'll get into the conversation of like holding myself accountable, doing all these things, like throwing the little mini like pity party tantrum and being like, oh, my life sucks, I feel bad for myself, blah blah blah. And then I turn around, I'm like, dude, it's really not even that deep actually at the end of the day. Like why are we tweaking about nothing? Because you're sitting here complaining and not taking the first steps to action. And then like I sit around for 15 minutes and I feel good about myself again, and then we're good to go, and it's like everything's cool again. Nonetheless, I'm gonna change topics because I feel like I'm being depressing, but we've got plenty of time left in the episode to talk about some serious things. I saw in the news the other day, what was it? They were like, okay, so again, like I've from the last time we talked about it, because I always find myself talking about these situations because I've known so much, because for the last like 8 years I was like enveloped in the middle of it, and I was just like, I want to know everything about it, but politics in general, like we've been over it before. I don't affiliate with anybody, but now I've like completely rejected it all, and it's just information to me. It's like world news, and that's it. I don't have like any biased opinion on it. Um, I just I just speak the facts of what I know, and that's it. Like I don't go into depth on like speculation. Here's my opinion. This is what I'll tell. Like that's what I used to do back in the day, but I don't. But anyways, I saw in the news that what is that? It was like the conflict, war, whatever you want to call it, with Iran. Um, I didn't realize at the end of the day, like it was actually like a really big deal because of the Strait of Hormuz and negotiations with their nuclear program and all of that, blah, blah, blah. Like, I looked into it, but I wasn't like, okay, this is actually, like, serious, and it's kind of like a world threat, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so then, at the end of the day, I feel like and this is the conspiracy theorist inside of me, I feel like it's a ploy to distract us from the fact that the United States military is, what is that, like, merging? They're, like, coming together as one with Israel's forces, and so they're like moving us in together with Israel's military as well. I think it's all branches. I'm not sure. They might exclude Space Force because I don't feel like that's a very serious one, but nonetheless, they probably are. Whatever. How do I say this? But I always like to start a conversation out with but. Because that makes like, seems like there's an issue. So let's address the issue, and then we can argue about it for the next 20 minutes. But I'm the only one here, so we're not going to argue. But this is a very volatile situation, and I feel like it's a disguise because the war conflict dilemma of Iran v. USA / Israel-ish, from what I know, is like a really big deal because of the fact that I'm pretty sure it's Congress. Congress is trying to merge these two militaries together. So we need something to disguise it, obviously. So let's lock up the Strait of Hormuz. Let's send some random bombs to random countries that are going to have a problem with it because we're doing things to innocent women and children and young people. That'll make a news headline. Right. The other stuff won't. Like the Epstein files for the last like 160 days now, we haven't addressed that. Another topic issue that's like driving me bonkers insane because we literally have pedophiles and child sex traffickers in our government. But we're not going to address that issue because it was a hoax made up by the Democrats. Whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Don't really care. Not affiliated with any of it. I feel like at the end of the day, there's issues across the board, and it doesn't stem from one side. It doesn't stem from red or blue, independent, green, whatever it is. It stems from where your moral compass is at. And again, back to the conversation of God. I feel like we would have a better moral compass. If we all read our Bibles. Prove me wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm not allowed to talk on this stance right now because of the things I've been going through. But I do know one thing. Following Jesus has always given me the right answers and the soundproof ideas that I am making the right decision. Never had to second guess. Never had to been like, okay, is this really like, does this make sense? Does the evidence that's here prove to be the truth? Yes, no, maybe. It's always been a yes for me when it comes to biblical, contextual, stated facts. That's, I guess, just my opinion at the end of the day. I don't even know if I said it right, but I will say, if I didn't say it right, here in simple layman's idiot moronic terms, the Bible's right, everything else is wrong. Your moral compass will be amazing if you follow what the Bible teaches. And more importantly, what Jesus teaches. Because some of the stuff in the Bible is a little grotesque. Nonetheless, at the end of the day, all of the dilemmas, the conflicts, whatever it is we talk about, people always find themselves asking the question of, like, what can I do? How do you make the change? And, like, obviously you can be like, no kings. Let's go protest in the streets. Let's do all these things. Israel lives matter. Blah, 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 blah. Like, all of these things. Like, you could tell yourself that you're going to make a change. You can sit down and, record yourself talking about specific topics and what you believe in and how we need to make a change and all of these great ideas. But at the end of the day, what does it actually do? Because there are the wrong people in power. Because there are people influenced by a specific lobby, and I'm sure you can put two to two together, it will never be right at the end of the day, I don't think. Because of people having the ability to be bought out by somebody else. People being able to see a lump sum of money enter their bank account, and whoever sent that money to them now has all the right answers. Because if I don't agree with them, the money goes away and my family doesn't eat. Because I think, like, low-end government, like, everybody underneath the president makes like $175,000 a year. I'm sorry, but we all know, like, medial income, you're just not, you'd seriously have to live in a specific part of the country, which obviously that wouldn't work out for government officials because you have to represent a specific state. But you would seriously have to live in a specific part of the country that has, like, the lowest medial income to highest return rate, right? And we can't all do that because that's not how it works. The country's too big to allow that to happen, and overpopulation is actually a serious issue. Look at New York City. I think there's 9 or 10 million people there now. Wow, that's insane. And they turn around and they pay $3,500 a month on an apartment that is literally 200 square foot, 1 bedroom, no bathroom, no garage, no nothing. Nonetheless, the takeaway, the wrong people are in power. What can you do to make that change? At the end of the day, that's going to take a lot more than you, I, or anyone can ever fathom, for the simple fact that money moves and money makes people talk. It's a very influential thing. And that's why I think rooting back to it when we talk about, like, in the Bible, it says that the love for money is the root of all evil. It's not the conversation of having a lot of money. Having a lot of money is not the issue, because you can have a lot of money and be very charitable and give it away and all of these things. Sources of income are far and none between. There's 1.5 billion ways to make money. And what you do with it is your free will given to you by God. But it's stated that the love for money, if you are chasing the money just because you love the money and the way that it makes you feel and the things that you can do with it, the bribery, the sorcery, all of these things that's where we then get into an issue. There's a lot of the times that's like a misconception between like people. They'll be like, well, you're a Christian, so you can't have a lot of money because the Bible says that the love of money is the root of all evil, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, no. God tells you that you're going to live your life abundantly. And in this day and age, because we have an alive and well living God, He has adapted with the times. And so it can definitely 100% be a situation of deserve it or not of a lot of money. It is possible. Whether you hustle, whether you get an inheritance, all of these ways to find streams of income is possible. an abundance of money, an abundant life in that situation is 1,000% possible. But it is up to you, with your free will given to you by God, to make the right choices, make the right decisions, to understand that He was the one that allowed all of this to happen, no matter how you ran into it. And so you making the right choices is on you. You living that abundant life is one on you, but you making the right choices, living that abundant life is on you. And that's where a lot of people have the conversation with the atheists, and they're like, oh, but that doesn't make any sense because you're with a loving God, so everybody should have $1 billion, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, because you have been given free will, you are allowed to ruin your life. You are allowed to make the wrong choices and follow in the devil's footsteps, follow in Satan's footsteps, and you will be a detriment to society for the simple fact that he is a swindler. Every single time that you think you have a good idea and it falls apart and it brings you 10 steps backwards, that was the devil deceiving you, thinking this is a good idea, but he knew the second that you opened that front door and ran through it, there was no floor in the house. So you fell straight to the basement. And there's no ladder to get out of the basement. So you now have to dig your way out. And the only way you can dig your way out is through and with God. And you transition into so many different conversations about all of this. But at the end of the day, to finish it all off, to like end this in total, Jesus will win. And I say that as a blanket statement all across the board. Because not only do I learn all of this information, not only do I do all of these things, not only am I this horrible, terrible person that I talked about in the beginning of the episode, but I still understand this one fact that I believe to be 110% the truth till the day that I die. I won't denounce it. I will never, ever, ever change my mind. And it is that Jesus is the truth. Jesus will win. It will come down to two things: the Antichrist and Jesus. And I can guarantee you 1,000%, without a doubt in my mind, I will be right there with Jesus. And if it means dying by the sword, it means dying by the sword. Because as horrible as a person as I am, for the change that I can't make, for the horrible things that I do, and all of the bad stuff that could possibly happen, and even at the end of the day, the good stuff, there's one thing that I know for sure, and it sometimes scares me because of how naive I can get at times. But there's one thing I know for sure, and that it's at the end of the day, when all of the lights and the cameras and it gets quiet in the house and it's time for me to settle down for the night, I somehow subconsciously always revert back to Jesus, to being grateful for the day that I had, the life that I've been able to live, for the free will to be the absolute piece of junk and still be the prodigal son, run off, do all of these naive, horrible, nasty things that he would never approve of, still come back and go, please, for the love of God, I know it's the 9,000th time I've done this, but forgive me. And he looks at me and he goes, I already knew what you were going to do. I knew you were going to change your mind. I knew you were going to come back. And I still love you unconditionally. And at the end of the day, that just, for me, that blows my mind. Because of all the hoops, because of all of the things that you go through in life, because of all of the ways that you feel, the things that you experience, your life can completely get flipped upside down. And mine has been before. But I've always reverted back to that Jesus is the answer. No matter, and it feels like I'm beating a dead horse in this conversation now, but I'm so violently invested in this, in knowing that this is the answer. But through it all, whatever I can say, all of the scenarios that I can give you, it's just that I know that Jesus is the truth, He is the way, and He is the life. And if I can be 1 ounce better every single day, I will know that I will get back to loving and being in love with Jesus the same way that I was the night that I had that dream and the morning after when I woke up. And I will get back to that way, and I'll continue to develop that relationship and feel so much better every single day. And I know you, at the end of the day, I know you will too. Whether you sit there and deny Him now, you will have your day. You will have your day in court. Like they always say, you'll have your day in court. You'll have your chances. Everybody is given a chance till their last breath. And I fully believe that. And I have not had anybody, I've even got a friend that's agnostic, doesn't believe in the prophetics of Jesus. He just thinks that He's a cool historical character and the Bible is a cool historical book. But the one thing that he understands, that is if it were to happen one day, that's his chance. He'll have his day in court. And I tell him it all the time. I said, hey, you'll have your day in court, dude. You'll get the same chances just like I do. You can sit there and deny it as much as you want. Peter did it 3 times in front of a crowd of, I don't even know how many people. And he still returned. And even if it is your last breath, you can still return. And a lot of people will. And I'm so glad for that at the end of the day. For all of the bad that I say about myself and judgmental towards other people and all that. Everybody gets their day in court. Listen, one of the things that it's been so intense this entire time. So let me lighten the mood a little bit. For all of the betterment of my teenage years, I was like a chronically online child. It was so bad. Growing up and playing video games, it started out with the Wii. Actually, it started out with my Nintendo DS, and then it switched to the Wii. And then it went to Xbox, and then VR, and then the Xbox One S, and the Series, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't even tell you what's out now, because I think I still have one of the old Xboxes that I got from my buddy. It's the new cool one, but it's not the brand newest one. And then I have the VR and a couple other fun games or whatever. But the one thing that I always remember from my childhood is I don't even think it was an iPad. I don't even think I was cool enough for an iPad. It was a Samsung Tab something. It was just a regular Android tablet. But I was chronically on YouTube probably 18 hours of the day. And I still, to this day, chronically watch YouTube. And I have, my favorites that I watch. But there's, specifically, I want to, again, in a couple episodes ago, I was, talking about these people. And I was just if I ever met them, blah, blah, blah. Getting all ushy-gushy and, in my feels about it. Because I was these people are inspirational to me. That would be a dream of mine. But I kind of wanted to, share the why, kind of. But when I was younger, it was 18 hours a day I watch YouTube. And my favorite people to watch was Casey Neistat, which I'm sure you already know that. You probably said it with me. Anyways, was Casey Neistat, Balin Levine, and Danny Duncan. Those are my most people would be "Ooh, who's your top 3 YouTubers?" And people are PewDiePie, Dude Perfect, and Dude Perfect's second channel. I don't even know if they have a second channel. Anyways, those are my top 3: Balin, Casey, and Danny. And for the simple fact that there's 3 categories across the board. One, Danny Duncan is just the most outgoing, insane character. Well, not even really character, because it's like genuinely him in real life, but like that man lives the craziest life. Like, if you could take Danny Duncan for the last like 5 years, that was me at the ripe age of like 14. I was just doing random dumb stuff every single day that made absolutely no sense. And my mom was like, "You're going to end up dying from this." Because one time when I was like 11 or 12, I went over the front of my handlebars of my bicycle because I hit a pothole or like a manhole cover or something to the road. And I busted my teeth. And we just like always was having fun jumping things and acting like basically insane. Exactly how Danny Duncan does. And we had no care in the world because we're a young child and we think we're untouchable. And then when I got older, I started getting in a little bit of trouble with the cops and they'd come visit the house and blah, blah, whatever. Nonetheless, Danny Duncan was like my younger spirit that was like, this guy gets to have fun every single day. I can do that too, minus the camera. Nobody will ever know because minus the camera. Anyways, on to Casey. Casey's one of my favorite people ever of all time because I've never in my life seen myself, like, there's plenty of people, like, you obviously have the family members that are like, oh, you're so handsome, but Casey's never seen himself as an attractive man, like, seen himself as, like, looking good. Obviously, his wife thinks he looks good or she would be married to him, but he wears sunglasses while he films his. I would say that he wears sunglasses probably 95% of the time. And if you like don't know who he is, go search him into Google, look up his YouTube channel, whatever. He makes some amazing films. And I don't say like regular YouTube videos because of the fact that he genuinely says he makes films. And let me tell you, he makes films. They are the most like cinematic pleasing films that I've ever seen. Like, the man is a genius behind the camera and at the editing table, all of it. He is a genius. But the thing that always stuck with me about Casey was, one, I always, whether it was actor, filmmaker, director, producer, whatever it was, I always wanted to be in that space because of the because of the nostalgia that it gives me. Like, I can remember when water bottle flips were cool. And shout out again, I don't know if he's seen him or not, but shout out Zach Tucker because we were at his house one time and we were like, we're going to be YouTubers. So we did bottle flip tricks, and I'm sure you can, like, find it on YouTube somewhere. But we were just, like, it was always like, I wanted to film everything. I wanted to be cool. I got to that age where it was like, everybody's a YouTuber, and I want to be a YouTuber too because I love filmmaking, because I love all of the cool shots. I have no idea how to do them. I have no idea how to compile a video together to make it look amazing the way it needs to. But if I just record everything, it'll probably come out that way, right? Yeah. And I would record how Casey does, but like trying to take out the editing part of it. So shoot the shot the exact way that I want it so I don't have to edit it because I have no idea how to edit. Nonetheless, the first piece is just his ability to film make and the way that he does things. But number two was because he has always labeled himself as a standout. You know, you see he lives in New York City, which has nowadays I think there's like 9 or 10 million, like I said. But think about it. 85% of the time when he's going to work or he's traveling within the city, he's on an electric skateboard with a ginormous, and I have like similar to what he has. It's like a ginormous camera. But there's this guy like this screaming into a camera in the middle of the park, in the middle of a coffee shop, in the middle of wherever he's at, and has no care in the world. Obviously, I'm sure that he like knows that people are acknowledging the fact that he's screaming in front of a camera and making these films, but he has no care in the world at all because he is that filmmaker. And that was an attribute that always stuck with me. It was like, Casey just doesn't care. He doesn't have the time to care because he's making his films. And always like, those two things were like just my favorite thing about him. And like I see it as Danny and Balin being almost similar to the same, because Danny and Balin are like, it's almost like the daily vlog style content, but like with pranks and fun stuff in between. Not so much now with like Balin and them, because he's like grown up and he's got a girlfriend now and he's like mature or whatever. But that's like the part that I resonate with nowadays on the side of like Balin. Like back in the day, it was like being similar to Danny Duncan and having fun doing all these things, playing these pranks, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But nowadays, I see him. He's grown up. He's made a new channel. And it's like this wholesome family-style channel where he's daily vlogging. Not really daily vlogging, but he like posts like once a week or something. And it just involves his whole family and the way that his life goes. And you're seeing how genuine he is as a person. And it just... At the end of the day, it honestly genuinely inspires me to be like, not the exact same, but a form. And that's the crazy part to me, because all of it, like, I've got some, I do have like films. I want to be like Casey and consider them films, because to me they are films. They're not just like random videos. They're cinematic masterpieces in my mind. I guess not full-on masterpieces, but like they're similar to his videos, not same editing style or whatever. I have a pimple on my arm that's bugging me. Anyways, it's similar to his style, but I have some videos in like stockpile that I'm going to... My mother is blowing up my phone. Anyways, I have some videos stockpiled to where I'm going to post them at some point, and I'll be able to share them with the public. But the thing about all of it is like being able to get the nostalgia from all of it. My filming style is in those kinds of videos. It's like all three of them combined. Having fun doing all these things, blah blah blah, whatever. But it's like filming style of Casey, Balin, and Danny. Editing style of Casey. And the love for it, like Casey. So I like resonate so much with Casey, because I'm just genuinely so obsessed with it, because I've always wanted to be a filmmaker, always wanted to be in that space of time. And I think a lot of the times, like at the end of the day, people have called me crazy for it because of how subtly obsessive I have been over it. Like never taken a call to action before, but always talked about it like in the sense of, this is something I could do and I feel like I'd be really good at. And now, with my testimony before and all that, blah, 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 yada, yada, I have finally gotten the motivation, essentially, to do these things. And, like I've said before, always promised to do it in the glory of God. So that's why, the content isn't like pushing an episode every single day, because it's like, you got to think about God as well. What does how can you move forward for what he has in store for you? So I don't try to ever like push anything ever, because that part just like drives me insane. Being a content creator in that way, to just push out BS content that makes no sense, no intentionality behind it. You're just pushing it out to be pushing content for views. It makes no sense. Like, I want everybody to see my passion and to see that I'm like random 24/7, but it is all in good nature. But I don't know. Anyways, nonetheless, I think my mouth is really, really, really dry. Talk for an hour straight. Wild. I don't know how I ever do that. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's the episode. I'm going to be honest with you. I can remember snippets of what I talked about, but I get into these good conversations where I ramble and I do all these things. I just black out. And I just say what needs to be said, and then I move on and I don't remember it. But that's the episode. Love Jesus, live Jesus, be the best example you can to everybody around you. Make the changes if you need to, start to do better, whatever This is my challenge to hold myself accountable because now it's on video. I'm going to do better. I promise. I have to do better. To be the man that I want to be, I have to do better. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, that's the episode. I will see you again on another one. This has been so crazy. I love every second of this, even if it looks like I don't. I'm jumping for joy on the inside. Anyways, I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.